Good morning. Thank you for being here to engage with your colleagues as we've reflected on where we've gone and where we're going. I especially want to thank my colleagues on the NCARB staff with us here in Boston for their work at the community center tables, their work behind the scenes, and their work in supporting each event, including the look and feel and flow of these sessions in this room. I'm equally proud of how our team has stepped up back home, and they're back in the office watching you today and around the country in their visits throughout the year to support the many initiatives approved by you, our membership, and by our board of directors. You saw in our keynote presentations an emphasis on raising awareness with elected officials regarding what you do and why you do it. We're gratified that the feedback we've received from your annual review of NCARB, other surveys, and focus groups welcomes a higher NCARB profile in facilitating the argument for reasonable regulation. We are committed to supporting you, our member boards, in this arena. Let me give you some examples. In the past year, we submitted an amicus brief, a friend of the court brief, to the Oregon Supreme Court, and wrote an op-ed article in the Portland Oregonian newspaper to defend the Oregon State Board's regulation of unlicensed practice. After two lower court decisions ruling against the State Board, the Oregon Supreme Court overturned the lower courts and ruled in favor of the State Licensing Board. In Arizona, we provided written and verbal support to oppose legislation that would deregulate collateral design professions. Our efforts helped contribute to removing landscape architects from that deregulation effort. In Georgia and in South Carolina, we helped foster collaboration between our member boards and AIA components to impact legislation that would support IPAL student access to the ARE. And in Virginia, we're working with the AIA state chapter to explore ways of assuring that licensing board actions are able to progress through the executive branch pipeline. And for the second year, I've offered the services of senior architect and advisor to the CEO, Stephen Nutt, as a loaned executive to the Federation of Associations of Regulatory Boards, FARB, as a senior advocacy officer. Our own Chief Operating Officer, Mary D'Souza, has chaired the FARB Board of Directors for the past 2+ years, with a focus on creating a more muscular voice for reasonable regulation across disciplinary boundaries. We've also upped our game regarding support to our member boards. Our Customer Relations Department, under Director Roxanne Alston, has assigned specific managerial staff to each member board executive as a primary liaison, ombudsperson, and troubleshooter. Our council relations team, under Director Josh Batkin, and for the first part of the year under former Director Kathy Hillegas, continues to provide legal research and regulatory language for boards undergoing reviews or pursuing updates. Our information systems team, under Chief Information and Innovation Officer Guillermo Ortiz de Zarate, is exploring providing licensing systems, as you just heard, as a vendor option for our member boards. And through all our changes and improvements, our IS system and their team continues to offer new and better tools to support all of our programs, our customers, and your needs as member boards. Both of our programmatic departments, Experience and Education under Director Harry Falconer and Examinations under Director Jared Zern, have overseen the launch of new programs with AXP and ARE 5.0 launching within the past year. Both Harry and Jared and their colleagues have spent countless hours on the road conducting outreach visits to college campuses, AIA state components, and events hosted by our own member boards. Our marketing and communications team, under Director Andy McIntyre, has repeatedly gone further in utilizing all communications platforms, from the latest iterations of social media to more effective use of webinars, video, and electronic updates. And most recently, they've shepherded an organization-wide effort involving consultants and stakeholder feedback into a massive overhaul and redesign of our website. This effort has placed the site onto a more agile platform with superior search capacity and more compelling design. And we haven't forgotten about maintaining our corporate infrastructure. Under Administration Director Doug Morgan, we strive to hire employees who fit our culture. We look for opportunities to promote financial transparency and wise investment strategies which support our treasurer and our board. We strive to maintain a high-quality volunteer experience through effective meeting planning and staff support. As you've heard from President Harding, our board, committees, and member boards have moved forward on supporting implementation of programmatic changes across the education, experience, and examination spectrum. But these changes just don't happen overnight. They make it to you and to our customers via the partnership between the decisions of our volunteer leaders and the implementation by our hardworking staff. Software design work, customer service training, programmatic subject matter expertise, and strategic marketing and outreach are all part of that implementation mix. We embrace a collaborative approach to each action. As staff, we are driven by our shared vision of being open, responsive, and restless. And by avoiding silos and promoting transparency, we practice our mantra of let's go further every day. Let's take a closer look at our NCARB staff team in this short video.
I love the people that I work with.
My colleagues are really seem more like friends.
The office culture is a very dynamic culture and very, very collaborative.
They never really settle for the first solution. They're always focused on getting things right.
We listen, we respond to the problem, and we want to do more.
We like the challenges that we face in this organization and new ideas and new ways of doing things and new opportunities that we can bring to bear for our customers or our members.
I like the NCARB is a really open organization that really encourages experimentation and trying new things and constantly asking why and not settling for the easy or comfortable or convenient solutions.
I get to work with people that I probably wouldn't have had the chance to work with in a traditional architecture office.
We have, I think it's 10 architects on staff, and they actually have roles in many of our departments.
I'm always impressed by everyone else who works here, the non-architects who work here, who could be doing communications or could be doing IS or customer relations at any firm, but they're working here at NCARB.
I think people may be surprised to learn the longevity of our employees here.
It seems like once you get here, you don't want to leave.
We have people who've worked at NCARB for over 30 years. You do an average of the tenure, it's over 9 years.
It's exciting for them to have seen how the organization has changed and grown.
When I think about colleagues here at NCARB also, I don't think about just the workplace colleagues, but really our colleagues as far as volunteers.
Between our outreach programs to schools, into firms, into our collaterals, AIA, AIS, ACSA, and the NAB, we're there working with them.
Being involved in committee work is one of the great opportunities of NCARB, and one of the great things that NCARB does is taking different ideas from architects from across the country.
Let's go further to make sure that our customers, those people in the profession, are really getting what they need, and how can we help them attain their goals in the future.
For us, the thread that brings us all together is protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the public by regulating the profession of architecture.
We have hundreds of volunteers from around the country at different stages in their careers, and they're giving their time, their experience, their expertise to help us develop the programs that are going to really benefit the whole of the profession.
They all bring such great ideas to the table, so I really enjoy being able to reach out to those different groups and hear what they have to say and see where we can take that feedback and go even further with it.
We can't stop looking toward the future. We can't stop
thinking about the next iteration of our programs. And through this process, I think we've learned again how important it is to emphasize community and to stay engaged with our community. So many of the folks you saw in this video are with us today, and a lot of our staff leadership is here. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce some folks. So our Director of Administration, Doug Morgan, and his Assistant Director and Controller for Finance, Rob Dickinson, and our Assistant Director for Meeting Planning, Vanessa Williamson, and staff of administration, wherever you are. I think most of you are up there, wave. Hello. Our Director of Experience and Education, Harry Falconer, and Assistant Directors Michelle Dixon and Martin Smith. Where are you? Over there. Information Services. Guillermo's not here this week, so no La Bamba from the stage tomorrow night. His twins are graduating from high school this week. But in his stead, we have his two assistant directors, Shaheen Shakiri, and newly minted assistant director, Rachel Michaels. From customer relations, Director Roxanne Alston, Assistant Director Demetra Lewis, and customer relations staff. Where are you? Marketing Communications, Director Andy McIntyre, Assistant Director Amanda Pica, and the M&C staff, some up there, some in the back in the area in the back, but just wave at us. Examinations Director Jared Zern, and Assistant Director Joan Paris. Jared and Joan, here somewhere. Our other assistant director, Ryan Meisner, who you saw in the video, he and his wife Heather just experienced the birth of their second daughter last week, so they also are not here. And our new director of council relations, who you met previously, Josh Batkin, and the council relations staff. And another person whose name you might have seen on emails, and you're wondering who's this person shadowing me this week, our spectacular executive office administrative support, Alinka Chumak, right here. Alinka. I've also started another round of visiting member boards. You recall a few years ago we got all 54 done in 4 years. We're on year 2 of another. It may take 5 years this time. But this year I was able to get to 11 jurisdictions. There are 11 on this map, but please acknowledge Hawaii and Guam. They're smaller there on the map. But we've been on one end of the country to the other. And we've really enjoyed those visits and your hospitality, and also visiting the AIA state components along the way. In addition, it's been a special honor to represent NCARB to external organizations. Last July, our work in supporting student engagement through collaboration with the AIAS was rewarded by the receipt of a presidential citation. In January, our work in promoting innovation was recognized by the Design Futures Council by inviting us to kick off their annual innovation meeting. Your support, your constructive guidance, and your great ideas have taken us to new heights. In our latest edition of NCARB by the Numbers, which you now have in front of you, you will see that the average time that it takes to earn a license, including school, is now down to 12.5 years. This is a 9-month reduction from 1 year ago, and the largest drop to date. This represents a 3-year reduction since the peak in 2008, but we all know we want to do more. But this ongoing progress is a tangible example of how the programs that you guide and that you steer do impact the profession, and how we've been able to improve the process for all of our licensure candidates. Thank you to each of you and your board colleagues back home, and to President Harding and the NCARB board for keeping us focused and moving in the right direction. So many of you have asked, so what's next? At this year's meeting, the absence of resolutions and contested elections have given us time to go deeper on a variety of topics. But as we are remembering President Kennedy during this brief stay in Boston, in the year of his centennial, it is fitting to recall that he reminded us, and I quote, "We must use time as a tool and not as a couch." Our programs have been refreshed. We have maintained our focus on the 3 key goals of our strategic plan: facilitate licensure, foster collaboration, and centralize credential data. But the world hasn't stopped turning. We're aware of the challenges to you, our members, in ways big and small. So our focus is simple. We are constantly thinking of ways to provide better support to our member boards. The ability of boards to investigate and prosecute practice without a license is a growing area of concern. We'd like to explore how NCARB might provide extra support in this area. The focus on how evolving practice may require an evolution in regulation is a necessary and somewhat uncomfortable topic that will require a great deal of creativity and flexibility. The responsibility of the profession to mentor and coach emerging professionals is not just NCARB's alone, but we want to do our part to incentivize improvement and to encourage collaborative, results-driven discussion across the collaterals. The list goes on. Elected officials, code officials, related professions, etc., all are fertile areas for more collaboration. Your strong support and encouragement has positioned NCARB to be more credible, more respected. You have helped us turn into a thought leader, a strategic beacon. We take that responsibility very seriously. Through continued partnership, we can continue to go further. Thank you.